So I haven't done one of these in a while because I've just been super swamped, super busy, and then quite frankly, like with all the shit that's going on in the world today, I didn't have the ability to be level headed, we'll say, about some of these fucking things. With the Iran shit and all of that going on, so I haven't really been wanting to talk about any of these things. But there's something that came up that I did want to talk about because it's going in my neighborhood currently. There's the whole fiber upgrade, right? Like, so everybody's all over this shit. Fiber, 1 gigabit speed, blah, 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 right? And what a lot of people don't know is that it's a scam, right? Like, for 99% of you, or it's a complete scam. Um, so just to back up here, one, I want to clarify, this isn't just research on my own. I found a lot of statistics on my own research, but my degrees are in electrical engineering, specifically electrical engineering and computer technologies, and I did graduate at the top of my class. My area of focus was actually designing hardware that go into computers and your routers and stuff like that. So I mean, when you want to talk about low pass filters and bandwidth and fucking doping processes of all kinds of shit like that, like that's kind of where I shine. So that's my background to put my credentials out there, right? um but the other thing is, like, the reason I'm bitching about this is because I put a lot of money into my house, and I think I've, in previous podcasts or shows, I've talked about that quite frequently. But um, I put a lot of money. These fuckers are coming in, and they're all out of town. Whoever, Comcast, AT&T. There's like three other people that are fucking putting all these, fiber panels in. They're all from out of town. So they don't give a fuck about our houses, right? Like, they don't give a fuck about my property. They don't give a fuck about how much money I put into this fucking thing. And so they're coming in and they just destroy everything. They destroy my fucking yard. Had to go out there and confront them yesterday because these fuckers ran right over my irrigation system, an irrigation system that I've spent nearly $1,000 in repairing, and they ran over it and cracked another fucking line. So now I have to dig this whole fucking line up again this weekend, replace the whole fucking thing because they never came up and they were supposed to, right? Like, so the county permit requires them to take what's called pre-con photos, which is a pre-construction photo. They're supposed to come to the door and they're supposed to talk to the residents and explain, like, hey, we're going to be digging on such and such date in your yard, blah, blah, blah. And if they would have done that, I would have been able to explain to them, look, here's where my fucking sprinkler lines run. Don't park on this. We would have been able to work something out, but they didn't. They didn't. And they're like claiming they did, and it's fucking hilarious because I have cameras all over the place. Like, so I've been watching them. I have all of it recorded, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we came on this date, and you just weren't home." It's a fucking lie. Like, I have it on cameras. Not to mention the day they claimed they came home, I was home. So I know you didn't fucking come to my house. So this is kind of where my problem is, right? So it starts the bad taste. Um, but what I wanted to talk about was, these people get so caught up in seeing, hearing like 1 gigabit, and especially if you're like a millennial like me, we fucking started with kilobit, like, and, so getting up to a gigabit is, astronomical, obviously, but a lot of people don't realize, like, what a gigabit is, right? Like, how fucking fast it is. And a lot of people don't realize what it takes to get there, right? So everyone thinks that, oh, well, I'm an online gamer or I stream a lot of 4K. Like, so obviously I need a gigabit of speed, right? Because you're an online gamer and you think that. It's complete bullshit. It's complete horseshit. And any salesman that tries telling you that is so fucking full of shit, and they're preying on you, being ignorant. And I'll just put it that way, right? So, to put it into perspective, because people are looking at this 1 gigabit of speed, to put it in perspective, you would have to stream simultaneously over 40 4K shows at the same time. So unless you have 40 fucking windows pulled up on your computer with four separate fucking shows or 40 separate fucking uh, streaming services or whatever, you're never going to see 1 gigabit. You're never going to need that, right? So the other thing is like the online gaming. There's not a fucking platform. The fastest platform or the highest requirement platform is the Meta fucking VR things. Now those can get up to 250 megabits per second. So those will be the fastest. But even 250 megabits per second is only 25% of 1 gigabit per second. So you're still not even close to the 1 gigabit, right? Like you're not even fucking remotely close to it. Most of your your PS5, your Xbox, or your fucking Nintendo Switches and shit like that, you actually only need like 25 megabits download and 10 to 15 upload. So it's not even fucking close. Now, to be fair, the upload, you will experience less latency, is what it's called, but that's pretty much lagging, right? You'll experience less latency on the fiber, and there's no arguing that, but it's not going to make your download, look better. It's not going to make anything like that happen. You're not going to become fucking superhuman in your online gaming or anything like that. It's not going to fucking happen. And so that's something that's really crucial. So the one thing that I wanted to talk about was what people think that their internet is being slow. It's not the actual speed of the internet. A lot of people don't understand what their router modem does. So like I have Xfinity, right? So I get my router modem combo. You just hook it up to a coaxial and there's your internet, right? And you have Wi-Fi everywhere. Well, people don't understand that Wi-Fi has limitations. Okay, so most of your Wi-Fi routers these days is going to actually have what's called 3 bands. You're going to have your 2.4 gigahertz, you're going to have your 5 gigahertz, and you're going to have your 6 or your 6E gigahertz, right? Now, obviously, and everyone's to my point on why everyone's freaking out about this 1 gigabit per second. They're like, oh my God, it's so fucking fast. So everyone hears that bigger number, right? Like, and one isn't actually a bigger number, but the gigabits, people know giga is bigger than, mega. So, the thing about the 5 and the 6G is, yes, it's faster. It's absolutely faster while you're standing next to it. You have to be able to see it for the most part. Now, it's not that's a like hard set requirement, but you have to be close to it to experience those speeds because the wavelengths are shorter. And due to the wavelengths being shorter, it doesn't penetrate walls as well. Now, you'll also notice on that concept right there, and this is another portion of, everybody knows this, homes aren't made the way they were fucking used to be made. Most homes are going to be slapped together homes. Even a brand new build, $500,000 is going to be fucked, because they just don't build them the way they used to. But one of the major components in that is new builds will use what's called light drywall. It's more porous. It's not as heavy as old school drywall. My home is a 1985, which means that it has original gypsum drywall in it, which is very dense packed. It is very dense packed. And then the insulation that's in my walls, not all of them obviously, but because most interior walls aren't insulated, but the exterior walls, it has thick wool woven, probably asbestos in this fucking house, who knows, but it has very thick insulation. The 5G and the 6G can't penetrate that as well. So what you're noticing isn't slow internet speeds, right? It's the fucking house that you live in is literally blocking it. Like, and people don't know that. And then, like, it's even worse. If you live in a, cinder block house or a fucking house that has concrete walls or some shit, or you're working in a place that has that, like, that's going to block all your shit. And then if you even go even older to before it was actual drywall, they used plaster walls, right? These are going to be absolutely fucking, Wi-Fi killers. And the reason being is because they used wire mesh and then put plaster over this fucking shit, right? That wire mesh acts like what's called a Faraday cage. It pretty much just sits there and reflects all of the fucking Wi-Fi right back at you. Like it doesn't allow it to transmit through the wall. It'll reflect it right back. So you'll have like next to no fucking internet. So where I'm going with that is like, that's the answer right there. Like 99% of you will never need 1 gigabit per second of speed. You absolutely won't. What you need to do is you need to update everything that's in your house. So the most efficient way to do this, the most effective way currently, is what's called a mesh system. Now you can go and buy a good mesh system from anywhere. I mean, Walmart sells mid-grade ones for like $180, I think, and you can pay up to $300, or something. Depends on how big your house is, how bad it is, right? But you can go and spend this $300, right? And now, mind you, that's just $300, and yes, that it sounds expensive to some people up front, but that's a one-time fucking charge. One-time charge, and it's done, and you have great internet, and 99% of you will never fucking have an issue again. You'll be 100% good with what you have for $300. Compare that to, yeah, you're going to get the introductory rate, but these fucking assholes, they come in and they're like, oh, well, we'll give you, $99.99 a month for the first year, and then after that, it's going to fucking, jump up to 150, 200 fucking dollars for the exact same fucking thing, right? So like they get you with that bullshit. So then you do that math, right? Of okay, I can pay $300 up front now, or I can pay $100 a month for the first 12 months, and then it's going to jump to 150. Okay, well if you do an additional $50 a month in the second year, okay, there you go, right? Like how much is that? And so it's going to far supersede, and then that's an ongoing cost. As long as you have that fucking internet, you're going to be paying that much fucking money. So it's just an exponential cost when you could have just spent $300 and been 100% okay. So, and now I'm sitting here thinking about it, just to go back and backpedal a little bit here, just to kind of put it in more perspective, Zoom calls. So you would have to, in order to use 100 gigabits per second, right? And this is where it does play in for businesses, right? And then, like sports bars and shit. Like, yeah, a sports bar is going to use 100 gigabits per second. Like, you go to B Dubs or some shit, how many fucking TVs do they have? They're live streaming like 40 fucking TVs. They will use that 1 gigabit per second. You go into a major office building, they're going to be doing a lot of Teams calls, Zoom calls, FaceTimes, whatever the fucking version they use. But for us in a residential home, you would have to do 250 simultaneous and separate Zoom calls, right? Like, so you would have to call 250 separate fucking people from one device in order to hit 1 gigabit per second. And where I want to go with that, I'll use that as a segue to kind of discuss. People also need to understand the limitations of the devices that they're using. Okay, pretty much anything pre 2018, you'll never see 100 gigabits. Your laptops, your TVs, your computers, your phones, you'll never see 100 gigabits per second. The reason being, it simply can't handle it. It simply cannot process it. Okay, because what they're called, it's called transmitting packets, right? Like, so you send a shit ton of packets, and that's what all of your information is in. They're in these little itty bitty packets, dumbing it down pretty much, but they're in these little bitty packets. So if your processor on whatever you're trying to hook up to the internet doesn't have the ability to handle 1 gigabit per second, then you'll never see it. And that's another portion is a lot of folks, they go up to Walmart and they're like, oh, yeah, I need an Ethernet cable. And they don't know what the fuck they're, looking for. They just think Ethernet is Ethernet. RJ45 is an RJ45. Wrong. Okay, so Cat 5, which is, the oldest version, one of the oldest versions, I'll say, Cat 5 has a hard cap limitation of 100, okay, 100 gigabits, and that's it. So you'll never see like faster speeds, or not gigabits. I think it's megabits actually, because Cat 5 is like the fucking oldest. It goes Cat 5, Cat 5e, Cat 6, and now they're actually up to Cat 7, Cat 8. And most people will never fucking see that. And then people also don't understand that that speed is distance based. Okay, so if you get into a 100 megabit port, or a 100 gigabit port, sorry, um, it's 100 gigabits for like 50 meters or less. If you exceed 50 meters, then that's fucking gone. So, you know, until you update all of your Ethernet cables to, Cat 5e, Cat 6, Cat 7, whichever one you want, um, you're never going to fucking see these speeds like, anyways. And this like goes into so many things, because it's like people that are hardcore into it, right? So they'll get the gold plated HDMI cables. Their audio comes through fiber optic and all of this stuff. If you don't do any of those updates, then it doesn't matter what we put out in the internet field, so to speak, what's out at the box in the yard. If the items in your house can't handle it, they'll never handle it. And what actually happens is, like, you'll derate it. So if your um, computer is only capable of 100 megabits per second, it doesn't matter that there's 1 gigabit out there. It's only going to pull 100, and then it's going to, it's actually going to heat your processor up, because it's going to be trying to fucking pull all of that. So it'll just use 100% fucking processor power, and yeah, it'll be wild. But so just going full circle there, it's like you don't need this 1 gigabit. 99.9% of the fucking homes, residential homes, will never fucking need this. If you suffer from slow internet and unreliable internet, I'm dead nut serious here. Jump on your cell phone, connect to the Wi-Fi, okay, and you're gonna go to speed test. Google can do the speed test, Ookla, whoever the fuck you want to use for the speed test, and do a speed test right next to the router, right? Like in the same room, have line of sight with that fucking router, and then go and do the exact same speed test on the exact same devices in other rooms, and you will see the massive difference that it is, and that will prove that you don't actually need faster fucking internet. You need faster Wi-Fi. You need that fucking Wi-Fi to reach from that router into your other room. And that's all you fucking need. And like I said, that can be updated with a fucking one-time cost of $300, and you set the fucking thing up, and that's it. And you're done. You're fixed. It's over. But people just get these salesmen. They come into your door and they're like, "Oh my God, your internet's so slow and blah blah blah, and you need this," and they're just doing fucking bullshit ass sales pitches and scamming you. But you don't actually need it. And the funny part about it is, again, obviously the sports pubs and all of that shit, yeah, they're up there, but residential areas, we won't be there for over a decade, easily over a decade. It will be probably in the 2040s before we ever fucking have devices in our home that need that, right? So it's just so fucking stupid. So I mean, they're destroying these entire fucking neighborhoods. All of these people's yards who have spent a shit ton of money in trying to make their properties nice. There's all these people where I live. There's so many kids that are waiting for buses on these sidewalks that are now being completely destroyed in the name of internet that people don't even fucking need. Like, we don't even fucking need that fast. So it's wild to me that people don't do the research on this, and and then they're like, "Oh yeah, let's sign up for fiber. We all need the fucking fiber." Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't need it. 99.9% of the fuckers in a neighborhood don't need that fast of fucking internet. You're never gonna fucking use it that much. You're never gonna need speeds. And the only other thing, there's going to be some people that are going to say, like, "Oh well, I need it for downloads. I do a lot of downloads." Like, okay, yeah, 1 gigabit per second, if you have a device that can fucking handle it. First off, if you have all the hardware that can handle it, if you have all of the cables that can handle it, if you've done all of that, then yeah, you can download like a terabyte in like 15 minutes. So yes, it'll be super fast, right? Like, and obviously if it's a gigabit, it'll be done in a second. So yes, it's super fast, but like, come the fuck on, man. Like, you're gonna destroy entire communities. You're gonna pay 150 fucking dollars for the one-time download of a terabyte in 15 minutes. You're gonna sign a contract for that? Like, come on. I don't believe it. But anyways, that's my thing. Um, you know, look at your hardware before you sign up for it. Look at your hardware. Do the speed test in each room, and go from there, right? Like, because I guarantee you, before you sign a contract for that fucking high speed internet, you need to check your own fucking hardware. Look at the fucking dates. Look at the manuals. That's crazy fucking thing, right? Like, nobody ever reads the manuals. They go in the fucking trash. Um, Look up the specific hardware. Look at its fucking capabilities, and that'll tell you. Like, if you have a computer that's only capable of 500 megabits per second, well, fuck you. What are you going to pay for 1 gigabit for, right? Like, it's not even feasible. So, I would suggest that, just fucking look into your hardware, do a speed test in every room of your house to the router that you have. And if you notice it's different on each one, then you don't need the high speed internet. You need to fix your fucking router. So try that, and go from there. But don't be the guy who's like showing interest. Oh, I'm excited for 10 gigabits of speed. Blah blah blah. Like, don't be that guy. So, anyways, thanks for watching.